Right now, as you're rewatching this, a monster winter storm is taking aim at the Deep South. And here's what nobody is talking about yet. This isn't just snow. We're looking at up to 3 inches of ice in some areas. 3 inches. Do you know what that does to power lines, to trees, to an entire region that rarely sees winter weather like this? But here's the twist that changes everything. The models just shifted north in the last 6 hours. That means millions more people are now in the path. And the question everyone is asking, could this become a 2-foot snowstorm for areas that haven't seen that much snow in decades? Stay with me for the next few minutes because at the 3-minute 20-second mark, I'm going to show you exactly which cities are now in the danger zone that weren't yesterday. And trust me, some of these names will shock you. Let's talk about what is happening right now, this very moment. The Arctic air is already in place. Yesterday was brutally cold. Today is brutally cold. And this is just the setup. Think of it like setting the stage before the main performance, except this performance could shut down the entire Deep South for days. Here's your first reward for sticking with me. The European model, which has been incredibly accurate this winter, is showing something we haven't seen in years. A perfect alignment of Arctic high pressure to the north, moisture from the Gulf, and a storm track that puts everything in the worst possible position. By Wednesday evening, we are going to see the pattern shift. A clipper system moves through the northern plains and Midwest. Nothing major there, just some snow showers for the Great Lakes and Northeast. Some thunderstorms in the Deep South, standard stuff. But here's what matters. This is the calm before the storm. Thursday brings the real Arctic punch. We talking about air masses that originated near the North Pole pushing further and further south. And by Friday, everything is in position. An Arctic high-pressure system parks itself over the northern plains and Great Lakes. And this high pressure acts like a brick wall holding everything to the south. Now here's where it gets interesting. Some of the latest model runs have shown this system slowing down. Why does that matter? When a storm slows down, it has more time to organize, more time to tap into moisture, more time to create chaos. And if this system holds on just a little bit longer, we could see the Ohio Valley, the Mid-Atlantic, maybe even the Northeast getting pulled into this mess. Friday night is when things start to go sideways. Snowfall develops across Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Arkansas. Parts of Mississippi, Tennessee, Alabama start seeing snow. But remember what I said about the ice. Here's where that nightmare begins. A massive area of freezing rain sets up across Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. Let me paint you a picture of what's coming. Imagine waking up Saturday morning and everything, and I mean everything, is coated in ice. Your car, your driveway, every tree branch, every power line. Now imagine that ice is 1 inch thick, then 2 inches, then 3 inches in some spots. Power lines can handle that weight. They snap. Trees can handle it either. They come crashing down often onto those same power lines, onto houses, onto cars. This is the kind of ice storm that emergency managers have nightmares about. The kind that leaves people without power for days, maybe weeks, in freezing temperatures, with no way to heat their homes. But here's the cruel twist. While the ice is devastating the Deep South, other areas are getting buried in snow. By Saturday afternoon, we are seeing moderate to heavy snowfall across Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas, Tennessee, and the northern parts of Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. And that freezing rain just keeps intensifying. It's relentless. Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, all getting hammered with ice accumulation that could be catastrophic. Not might be, could be. There's a difference. Saturday night into Sunday is when Kentucky, Virginia, and North Carolina enter the picture. And folks, if this scenario plays out the way the models are showing, these areas could see serious snowfall. We're talking about the kind of snow that makes headlines, the kind people remember for years. Now here is the million-dollar question, and this is what I promised you at the 3-minute 20 mark. Where does this storm go next? Does it slide horizontally along the coast, or does it climb vertically up the eastern seaboard? This matters more than you might think. A horizontal track keeps the heaviest snow across the areas I just mentioned, the Deep South, the southern Mid-Atlantic, but a vertical track, that changes everything. That brings mixing to some areas, which means less snow, more ice, more rain. But it also means Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, maybe even southern New England could get absolutely slammed. The European model is showing the more vertical track. And I'll be honest with you, I am skeptical. Here's why. We have strong high pressure directly to the north. Our wind flow is generally horizontal. Basic meteorology tells us the path of least resistance is horizontal, not vertical. But that doesn't guarantee anything. Weather has a way of surprising us. Watch what happens as we go through Sunday. The storm does climb more vertically. North Carolina and Virginia start seeing mixing. Rain mixed with snow. Sleet. Not ideal. But Pennsylvania and New Jersey, they re-getting hammered with heavy snow. Upwards into New York and southern New England, a major low-pressure system passes right nearby, dumping significant snow. And here is something nobody is talking about yet. After this monster storm finally moves out, we are not done. Another clipper system rolls through, bringing more snow to the mid-Atlantic and Northeast. We remain cold through the end of the month, brutally cold, the kind of cold that makes you question why you live where you live. Let me give you some numbers that you'll make your jaw drop. We're re-looking at temperatures 25 to 35 degrees below normal across large parts of the country by Saturday. That is not a typo. 25 to 35 degrees below normal. In some areas, that means highs struggling to reach zero, lows plunging to -20, -30 in the coldest spots. This is the kind of Arctic air that makes everything possible. The heavy snow, the crippling ice, the storm intensity. Without this Arctic air, we'd just have rain. But with it, we have a potential historic winter storm. Now let me talk about something meteorologists call the warm nose. If the low-pressure system tracks very close to the coast, warmer air actually works its way into the system. This creates mixing. Rain instead of snow near the coast, ice instead of snow slightly inland. If you in a coastal area and you want maximum snowfall, you actually have to hope the low stays a little further offshore. Just a little bit. The sweet spot for heavy snow is typically just outside the mixing zone. So if this storm trends just a little further east or a little colder or a little further south, that shifts the bullseye. Some areas go from a wintry mix to pure heavy snow. Other areas go from heavy snow to mixing. It's a delicate balance, and we still several days out. Let me show you what the total snowfall could look like. The European model is showing gargantuan totals. That's not an exaggeration. From the Four Corners states through the southern and central plains into the lower Midwest, down into the lower mid-Atlantic, we're talking about a swath of 1 foot or more. The pink areas on the snowfall map, those are 1 foot plus. The lighter blue areas, multiple feet possible. The Ohio Valley, the Mid-Atlantic, the southern Northeast, all showing really large totals. Some areas could see 18 inches to 2 feet. Maybe more in the best positioned spots, especially near the Appalachian mountain range. But remember that ice I keep mentioning? Let's dive into those totals because they absolutely terrifying. 1 to 2 inches of ice in the darker shaded areas. Some spots showing 3 or more inches of freezing rain. 3 inches of ice. Let me repeat that because it needs to sink in. 3 inches of ice. This is catastrophic. This is the kind of ice accumulation that shuts everything down. Not for hours, for days, maybe weeks in some areas. We really need to hope this trends away from the icy scenario somehow, because if it doesn't, the Deep South is looking at a disaster situation. Power outages affecting millions, impassable roads, dangerous conditions that could turn deadly. The GFS model shows very similar snowfall to the European model, a thinner band of heavy snow but actually more intense in spots, especially on the eastern side. We are talking about not just 1 foot but potentially 2 feet for some areas, especially close to the Appalachian Mountains and areas between the Virginia and North Carolina border. This is an intense scenario no matter how you slice it, and both major models are in agreement on the overall pattern. That should tell you something. When the European and GFS models agree, you need to pay attention. Now here's what happens after this initial storm. We see northward movement that eventually brings a lot of this up the mid-Atlantic and into the northeast. Another system develops at the end of the month, bringing another round of snow to the mid-Atlantic, Ohio Valley, and northeast. This one actually turns into a pretty massive offshore low, bringing snowfall to many of these areas again. We're looking at a sustained pattern of cold and snow. Not just one storm, multiple systems, wave after wave of Arctic air. This is shaping up to be a truly memorable stretch of winter weather. Early February continues the trend. More horizontal action happening further south with some deep Arctic air in place. The pattern doesn't want to break. The cold just keeps coming. Total precipitation maps show 1 to 2 inches of liquid equivalent from this major storm alone. That's significant. Most of these totals are coming from this singular storm system, though there are some other smaller systems in the mix. The West Coast finally gets some action too after being in a dry patch recently. They need it, but all eyes remain on this monster developing for the eastern two-thirds of the country. Let me break down the timeline one more time because this is critical information. Today and tomorrow, bitter cold. Wednesday evening, pattern starts to shift. Thursday, Arctic air intensifies. Friday, everything in position for the storm. Friday night, snow and ice begin across the south. Saturday, the storm really gets going. Saturday night into Sunday, the storm potentially shifts north. Sunday, the storm exits, but impacts continue. Here's what you need to do right now. If you are anywhere in the potential impact zone, and that's basically anywhere from Texas to Maine at this point, you need to prepare. Stock up on essentials. Food, water, medications, batteries, flashlights. Make sure you have a way to heat your home if the power goes out. Check on elderly neighbors. Charge all your devices. If you're in the Deep South, this is especially critical. You don't see ice storms like this often. Your infrastructure isn't built for it. Your road crews don't have the equipment that northern states have. This could be a truly dangerous situation. For those in the snow zones, you know the drill, but this could be more snow than many of you have seen in years. Maybe decades for some areas. Don T. underestimated. The question everyone wants answered, will this actually happen? Based on the model agreement, the pattern setup, and the Arctic air in place, yes, this is happening. The only questions are exactly where the worst impacts occur and exactly how much snow versus ice different areas see. Those details will become clearer over the next 24 to 48 hours. But here's what we know for certain. A major winter storm is coming. It will impact a massive area. Some places will see historic ice accumulation. Other places will see significant snowfall. And everyone in the impact zone will feel the Arctic cold. I mentioned at the beginning that I detail you which cities are now in the danger zone that weren't yesterday. Here's that list. Charlotte, North Carolina, Raleigh, North Carolina, Richmond, Virginia. These cities weren't showing significant impacts on models from 2 days ago. Now they potentially looking at major snow. That is how much this has shifted north. Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia, these areas are on the edge. A slight shift in track could bring them into the heavy snow or keep them in a wintry mix. We re-watching closely. Atlanta is in a particularly tough spot, right on the line between heavy snow and devastating ice. Nashville, similar situation. Memphis could see significant ice. Little Rock, same story. These cities need to be preparing for the worst and hoping for the best. Dallas, Oklahoma City, these areas are definitely in the impact zone. Snow and ice both look likely. Tulsa, same thing. Wichita could see heavy snow. Kansas City is watching closely. Further north, Cincinnati, Columbus, Pittsburgh, these areas could get pulled in if the storm takes the more northern track. It's all about that track. Every 50 miles makes a huge difference in who sees what. Here's the thing about winter storms in the South. They're rare enough that people don't always take them seriously. Until it's too late. Until the roads are impassable. Until the power is out. Until you realize you are stuck at home with no heat and no way to get supplies. Don, to be that person. Take this seriously. Prepare now while you still can. And here is your final reward for watching this far. The next update will come tomorrow with much better clarity on exact impacts by city. The models will have had another 24 hours to refine the forecast. We'll know more about that crucial track question. We'll have better snowfall totals, better ice accumulation forecasts. Everything will be clearer. But you can wait for perfect information. You have to act on what we know now. And what we know now is that a major winter storm is bearing down on a huge portion of the country, from Texas to potentially New England, with ice that could be catastrophic and snow that could be historic. One more thing before we wrap up. After this storm, the pattern stays active. More systems, more cold, more winter weather opportunities. This isn't a one-and-done situation. We re-entering a prolonged period of active winter weather. If you are a snow lover, you are going to be very happy. If you are ready for spring, well, you are going to have to wait a while longer. The end of January stays cold. Early February stays cold. The pattern doesn't want to break. And that means more opportunities for winter storms beyond just this initial monster. So here's what you need to remember. Major winter storm this weekend. Potentially historic ice for the Deep South. Potentially significant snow from Texas to the northeast, depending on track. Brutal Arctic cold for everyone, and more winter weather likely to follow. Check back tomorrow for the updated forecast with refined details. Share this information with friends and family in the impact zones. Make sure everyone knows what's coming and has time to prepare. Stay safe out there. This is going to be a significant weather event, and preparation is key. The next 48 hours are critical for getting ready. Don't wait. Act now. And remember, tomorrow's update at the same time will have those city-by-city specifics you are looking for. We'll break down exactly what each metro area should expect. We'll have refined snowfall maps, better ice forecasts, everything you need to know to finalize your preparations. This is the kind of storm that people will be talking about for years. Make sure